Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Thank you for clicking onto this video, and I'm gonna ask you to share it. I'm actually excited to share this information with you. Because every time we talk about pre-colonial Africa, the message and the image that you have is that of poverty in a way for a lot of people, or is that of backward people and all that. We don't have these images of cities, images of people with armies, images of kings, images of culture, images of drawings, artifacts, and manufacturing. We don't have that when we talk of pre-colonial Africa. And that's because you only hear the story now that we've been given is the story of the so-called conquerors. Apparently the good people came and defeated the savages. But over and over and over, we hear stories of people that lived during this time, who, by the way, were not even black, how they would describe their own people as being savages. There's one guy who wrote a book in the 1800s in Nigeria where he basically says he's starting to question who the true savages are. As Africans, or as black people all over the world, we get into, because we've been down for such a long time. The last 500 years have been terrible for us. Terrible for us. Whichever way you look at it, it's been terrible. But when we go and look at the history of the world, the last 500 years are just a small blip in our history. And this is why the right thing for us to do is to remain united, focused, and work on changing our condition, work on changing our situation. And nothing inspires a person, and it doesn't matter what race you are, than knowing that someone from your country, from your continent, from your people, stood up and fought for something. We hear today of the battle at Thermopylae, the 300 Spartans, but you've never heard of a battle that Shaka fought in South Africa, similar to Thermopylae, if not even greater. We've never actually looked at that. No movie has been made about that. We've never heard of Queen Aminireus from Kush, how she managed to defeat the Romans and prevent them from conquering her kingdom. We've never heard of that. So you've never heard of that. So you can't fathom or even picture your people doing amazing things. And that has been our downfall. And in the end, so many people end up being depressed or feel inferior to a point where it ruins their life. Because it's not inspiring. You think you belong to an inferior sort of society, you know. But there's so many great stories out of Africa that you haven't heard about. And I encourage everyone to go there and read books written by your people and also archaeological findings. These days, the archaeologists, some of them or most of them have become quite honest and they'll tell you a true story. Like they're saying right now, every time you kick a stone in Africa, you have to rewrite history. Because initially, the first archaeologists that got to Africa they had their own minds of how things could be. So they were trying to make sure everything fit into their preconceived notions of things. So that's why a lot of things is just fake. But today, I'm going to tell you about a city called Benin City. Today, the city exists. It's in Nigeria. It's the capital city of the state of Edo, I think, in Nigeria. I think southern Nigeria. Why is this important? This city is very important because there's something special about this city. He had the biggest city walls. He had a well-established monarch. However, there was also like ministers and important people like that who ran this city. It was called the Great City of Benin by most Europeans that visited it. One of the people that visited, the first person actually, was a Portuguese sailor because they started trading with the Portuguese. The Edo people who actually created this city. There's a connection, them being connected to the Yoruba. But that's not the point of this video. So, the first Portuguese sailor, I think he visited in 1447 or something like that. The first Portuguese sailor to visit this city was by the name of Lourenço Pinto. Now, when he got to this city, he was surprised at the walls. And when he got inside the walls, what he found inside those walls, he was just completely taken aback. You know, it was one of those cities that used to change the notion of every person from Europe when they visited West Africa. When they get to that city, their views of Africans changed. You know, he describes the roads as being paved and wide and long as far as the eye can see into the horizon. He describes the palace as being as big as the city of Lisbon. That's just the palace being as big as the city of Lisbon. The second part, at night, he describes just within the city first, the columns of the city were big. You know, there would just be, and this is you look this up, by a fellow by the name of, a Portuguese seller by the name of Lourenço Pinto. You look this up, guys. Google it. If you want some quick information, Google it, but do your own research. You know. Then he goes on and describes what he saw at night. The city, the roads, especially those heading to the palace, are lined with lamps. And the way he described these things is they were on metal poles. And then what the guys used at the end of the metal poles was palm oil, which was burning throughout the night. So first of all, they knew metal. As you can see, there's a lot of metal artifacts around the world stolen from this place. When the British destroyed it because of jealousy, hunger for power, money, they ended up destroying this city. However, He describes it having the streets being lined with street lights, pretty much. Poles, metal poles, and then they used palm oil, which was burning throughout the night. It's not a black man who said this, because people say, oh, that's been Afrocentric. This was a white man by the name of Portuguese, but a Portuguese seller by the name of Lourenço Pinto. Also, there's another, this was in, so we say this is in the 15th century. About 200 years later, there's another Dutch historian who visited the place, and he described it pretty much what Lourenço Pinto said. You know, the palace is as big as Harlem. My understanding, Harlem might be a city, maybe not the Harlem in America, but the Harlem in the Netherlands. You know, he talks about the roads. Lourenço Pinto went even further about something that puzzled him, was the fact that the security in Benin City was so great that the people of Benin City did not need to have doors on their houses. They left the doors open because no one was getting in there to steal. No one was getting there to get something or pick up or collect something that's not theirs. And everyone knew that. What do you call that? That was only in Africa. Because I tell you what, at that same time, I think it was Kim Hargreaves. I'll put the name in the description below, who described London at the same time. You know, was a place of thievery, prostitution, anarchy, and by that time, when you're walking the streets of London, you have to be very careful, because people used to go in the toilet and then they'll throw, because the toilets was just terrible. You go there, they'll poop in the pot and then just throw it outside through the window. So you actually have to watch where you step, because you step on poop. These things were happening. You know, I saw a South African, I think was a minister in Dubai, and she was doing this interview. And the guy asked her about the corruption and all the things that was happening in South Africa. But the way he asked the question was more like, you know, he was trying to blame black people. And the lady said, you know, it's actually interesting because it's actually white people that brought those things to Africa. Corruption, thievery, greed. You know, and the audience laughed. But actually, she was right. She was right. You know, one of the reasons why Africa was so quiet, and that myself, I said paradise, and I'm going to make a second video to this. You know, it's because of the fact that in Africa, there was no hardship. There was no hardship. You know, I'll make a video where I'm going to talk about how continents develop and what makes people want to do better. Hardships. That's why you see, you cannot be a boxer, a successful boxer, if you grew up in some nice area, you are well looked after and all that stuff. It's very hard. You're going to find that successful boxers grew up from hardship. One of the people who is actually African, you can even look this up, Septimus Severus is the one who conquered England. He was Roman. However, in reality, he was actually half black, half Italian. He was actually born in Africa and lived in Italy. But he's the one who managed to get the dynasty of the Roman Empire on track and expanded the Roman Empire. And one of the things that is the way it's described is that of being hard and harsh because of the way he was raised. You know, there's something there about how people become like that. You know, in Africa, life wasn't like that. You know, it was communalism, not communism, but communalism. We shared everything. And you can look up Benin City, they didn't have those, and you go around African ancient people and how they lived, you find that all across Africa, most houses didn't have those because there was no pookies and reres. That is a white invention that has been created on our society. Everywhere we go, we are looked at it that way. Everything has been changed. in where the savages now look like they're the saviors. And the people are not savages, they look like the savages. You know, and unfortunately, for most of us who are Africans, we've taken this on. You know, everyone just want to be bad. I want to kill some nigger. I want to do this. I want to do this. We want to do each other to each other. That's what it is. When it shouldn't be like that. There you go, guys. Benin City had street lights. Boom! No, nothing more to say. You know, if we tell you, look at their artifacts, how they melted those things. You know, pause, metal pause, burning palm oil. It's something even today can be done. You know, I'm gonna leave it there, but I'm gonna review a few more things on my next videos. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.